Ryan Kelly tightened the straps on his backpack and checked his compass one more time. The warm summer breeze rustled through the trees of the upstate New York forest as afternoon sunlight filtered through the leaves. At 17, Ryan was the youngest cadet first class in West Point Military Academy's junior cadet program, and today he was leading a squad through their biggest field exercise of the year. "Everyone ready?" Ryan asked, looking at his three closest friends who made up his core team. Sofia Garcia nodded as she double-checked her map. At 16, she was the squad's best strategic thinker. "All set. I've marked the most likely locations for the other team's flag." Next to her, Noah Wright fiddled with the radio unit attached to his vest. "Communications check complete. We're good to go." Noah, also 17, could fix anything with wires and had modified their standard issue equipment to get better range. "Medical kit packed and ready," said Olivia Bennett, tucking a strand of blonde hair under her cap. The 16-year-old was the most cautious of the group, but also the most reliable in a crisis. Lieutenant Jake Simmons approached their group, his face serious, but with a hint of pride. "All right, cadets. This exercise will test everything you've learned this year. Your objective is to capture the opposing team's flag while defending your own. You'll be on your own out there for the next 24 hours? "Yes, sir," Ryan replied, standing straight. "Remember your training. Treat this as if it were real. No shortcuts." The lieutenant handed Ryan a sealed envelope. "These are your emergency instructions. Open only if absolutely necessary." Ryan tucked the envelope into his jacket pocket. "Understood." "Sir." Lieutenant Simmons looked at each of them. "You have dummy weapons, emergency rations, and basic survival gear. The exercise boundaries are marked on your maps. Any questions?" When no one spoke up, he nodded. "Good luck, cadets. Exercise begins at 1600 hours." As the lieutenant walked away to brief the other team, Noah nudged Ryan. "Think we can beat Allen's team this time?" Ryan grinned. "We've been preparing for months. We've got this." At exactly 1600 hours, a horn sounded across the forest. Ryan led his team into the trees, moving quietly as they'd been taught. 6 other cadets followed behind, them making up the rest of their 10-person squad. "We'll set up base camp here," Ryan said when they reached a small clearing about 2 miles in. "Sophia, take Ben and Kate to scout east. Noah, set up our communications relay. Olivia, help me establish the defense perimeter for our flag." Everyone moved with purpose, setting up their base with military precision. The dummy flag, a simple blue piece of fabric with their team number, was secured in a hollow tree trunk with tripwires around it that would sound an alarm if triggered. As evening approached, Ryan gathered everyone for a status report. The forest had grown darker, and they used small red-filtered flashlights to see their maps. "The other team has set up approximately 3 miles northwest of our position," Sophia reported. "They've split into 3 groups to patrol different sectors." Ryan nodded. "Good work. We'll do the same. 3 teams. 1 to guard our flag, 1 to create a diversion to the south, and 1 main strike team to go after their flag." As they finalized their plans, Noah suddenly looked up at the sky. "Hey, what's that?" Everyone turned to look where he was pointing. Strange lights moved across the darkening sky too fast and too oddly shaped to be normal aircraft. "Must be part of the exercise," Ryan said after a moment. Lieutenant Simmons mentioned they might include some unexpected elements this year. Sophia frowned. "Seems elaborate for a cadet exercise." "Let's stay focused on our mission," Ryan said. "Olivia, you take Parker, Sam, and Grace to guard our flag. Sophia, you take Ben and Kate to create the diversion. Noah and I will go for their flag." They were about to move out when Noah held up the radio. "That's weird. I can't reach base." Ryan tried his own radio. Nothing but static. Try the emergency channel. Noah switched frequencies, but shook his head. Nothing. All channels are dead. Our GPS units aren't working either, Olivia added, tapping at her device. They're just showing static. Ryan considered the situation. This wasn't normal, even for a surprise element in their exercise. He thought about opening the emergency envelope, but decided against it. Lieutenant Simmons is testing us. He wants to see how we handled communication failure. What should we do? Asked Parker, one of the younger cadets. Ryan thought for a moment. We continue with the mission. Noah, try to fix the communications issue. Everyone else, we proceed as planned, but with extra caution. As the teens prepared to separate, more strange lights appeared in the sky. They moved in formation, unlike any aircraft Ryan had ever seen in books or training videos. I don't think that's part of the exercise, Sophia whispered to Ryan. Neither do I, he admitted quietly, but we need to stay calm for the others. Ryan pulled Noah aside. Change of plans. Take Sophia and investigate the communication issue. See if you can reach anyone. Olivia and I will continue with the flag mission, but we'll be looking for Lieutenant Simmons or any sign of the other team. Noah nodded, looking nervous but determined. You think something's really wrong, don't you? I don't know, Ryan said. Honestly, but we're going to find out. Meet back here in 2 hours, no matter what. If anyone finds anything unusual, fire a green flare. As they split up, Ryan felt a strange sensation in the pit of his stomach. The air seemed different, somehow charged, with an energy he couldn't explain. The forest sounds had changed too. A usual chorus of insects and birds had gone quiet. Olivia must have felt it too. Ryan, she whispered as they moved through the trees, I don't think we're alone out here. I know, he replied, keeping his voice low. Stay sharp. They moved deeper into the darkening forest, their training exercise now feeling very different. What had started as a simple drill was turning into something else entirely. Ryan's hand moved to the emergency envelope in his pocket, but he still hesitated to open it. Whatever was happening, he had a feeling the instructions inside hadn't planned for this dot in the distance. A new light appeared not in the sky this time, but moving between the trees. It pulsed with a blue-green glow that no military equipment Ryan knew could produce. Should we check it out? Olivia asked. Ryan nodded slowly, his hand tightening around his dummy weapon. It suddenly felt very inadequate. Carefully, he said. Very carefully. They moved toward the strange light, unaware that across the forest, Noah and Sophia had made their own discovery, a metallic object half buried in the ground, covered in symbols that were definitely not human. And at that same moment, miles away at West Point's main building, all communications with the forest training grounds had mysteriously gone dark. Noah moved carefully through the underbrush, with Sophia close behind him. The forest had grown unusually quiet, with only the soft crunch of leaves beneath their boots breaking the silence. I've never seen our radios fail like this, Noah whispered, examining the device in his hands. It's not just out of range or battery issues. Something is actively jamming our signals. Sophia frowned. You mean someone is blocking us on purpose? Exactly, Noah said. And it's not just blocking. Look at this. He pointed to small patterns of light on the radio's display that flickered in an odd sequence. Something is scanning our communications, listening to us. Lieutenant Simmons wouldn't do that, Sophia said. This isn't part of any exercise I've ever heard of. They moved forward, guided by the dim light of the moon filtering through the trees. Noah had a small device he had built himself that could detect electronic signals. It was leading them toward a clearing up ahead. Signals getting stronger, he said. Whatever's jamming us is in that direction. As they approached the edge of the clearing, Sophia suddenly grabbed Noah's arm. Get down, she hissed. They dropped to the ground behind a fallen tree. Peering over it, they saw something that made their hearts race. In the center of the clearing stood a tall metal structure, unlike anything they had ever seen. It glowed with a faint blue light and had several dish-shaped objects rotating slowly at its top. "That's not military," Noah whispered. "At least not our military." Sophia pulled out her binoculars. "There's something moving around it." Through the lenses, she could make out figures moving with strange, fluid motions. They weren't human. Their bodies were too slender, their heads too large, their skin reflecting the moonlight with an almost metallic sheen. "Noah," she said, her voice barely audible, "I think those are aliens." Noah took the binoculars and looked. For himself, his face paled. "We need to find Ryan and the others. Now." Meanwhile, on the other side of the forest, Olivia had discovered something equally disturbing. While Ryan kept watch, she approached a strange object half buried in the soil. It was round, about the size of a basketball, with a smooth metallic surface that seemed to shift colors when viewed from different angles. "Don't touch it," Ryan warned. "I wasn't planning to," Olivia replied. She circled the object cautiously. "What do you think it is?" Before Ryan could answer, the object began to hum. Its surface rippled like water, and suddenly a beam of light shot upward. Within the beam, strange symbols appeared, floating in the air like a hologram. "Back up," Ryan ordered, pulling Olivia away. The symbols changed rapidly, cycling through what seemed like different patterns or languages. Then, abruptly, they formed into English letters, scanning life forms. Identifying. "Alert. Unregistered combatants detected." "It knows we're here," Olivia whispered. Ryan was about to respond when they heard a rustling in the bushes behind them. They spun around, expecting to see one of their fellow cadets. Instead, they found themselves face to face with something that didn't belong on Earth. The creature stood about 5 feet tall, with limbs that bent at odd angles. Its face had no nose, just breathing slits, and its eyes were large and entirely black. It wore what looked like armor, sleek and fitted, to its strange body. For a long moment, no one moved. Then the alien raised a device in its hand. Ryan reacted instantly, tackling Olivia to the ground as a pulse of energy shot over their heads. "Run!" Ryan shouted. They scrambled to their feet and dashed between the trees, the sound of the alien in pursuit behind them. Ryan's mind raced. Their dummy weapons would be useless. They needed to find the others, to warn them. "The emergency flare," Olivia gasped as they ran. Ryan pulled the flare gun from his belt and fired it into the sky. A bright green light burst above the trees, visible for miles. Across the forest, Noah and Sophia saw the flare. "That's Ryan," Sophia said. "They found something too." They carefully backed away from the alien structure and began making their way toward the flare's origin. As they moved through the darkest part of the forest, they nearly collided with 2 figures running in the opposite direction. "Ryan!" Noah exclaimed in relief. "Quiet," Ryan hissed, pulling them all behind a large boulder. "There's something chasing." U.S. Olivia was breathing hard, her face pale in the moonlight. "It's not human. It shot some kind of energy weapon at us." "We know," Sophia said. "We saw them too. They have some kind of communication jammer set up in a clearing back there." Ryan peeked around the boulder. "I think we lost it for now. We need to get back to our base camp, find the others." "What about Lieutenant Simmons and the other team?" Noah asked. "We haven't seen any sign of them," Ryan said grimly. "And now, I'm worried." They moved as quietly as possible through the forest, jumping at every sound. When they finally reached their base camp, they found it deserted. "Parker? Sam? Grace?" Olivia called softly. There was no answer. The camp had been disturbed. Their supplies were scattered, and the flag was gone. There were strange marks in the dirt, not footprints, but long sweeping lines as if something had been dragged. "They've been taken," Ryan said, his voice tight. "By the aliens?" Sophia asked, though she already knew the answer. Noah bent down and picked up something from the ground. It was a small device, similar to the one the alien chasing Ryan and Olivia had carried. "It's warm," he said. "They were here recently." Ryan looked at his friends' worried faces in the dim light. They were alone, cut off from help, facing something beyond their training or experience. But they were still soldiers, even if they were just cadets. "We need a plan," he said firmly. "First, we find out what happened to our friends. Then we figure out how to contact help. And if we run into more of those things?" Olivia asked. Ryan's expression hardened. "Then we remember our training. We're not helpless." As if in response to his words, a low humming sound filled the air. They looked up to see more lights moving across the sky, not just a few this time, but dozens, all moving in formation. "I don't think this is just about us anymore," Sophia whispered. "I think Earth is being invaded." Noah studied the alien device in his hands. "Maybe this can help us understand what we're up against." As they huddled together in their abandoned camp, the reality of their situation sank in. What had started as a simple training exercise had become a fight for survival. And somehow, 4 teenage cadets had found themselves on the front line of humanity's first contact with an alien species. Ryan opened the emergency envelope Lieutenant Simmons had given him. Inside was a simple map with instructions for finding the emergency extraction point. But Ryan doubted there would be anyone waiting there now. "Whatever happens," he told his friends, "we stick together. We're a team." In the distance, they heard strange mechanical sounds echoing through the forest. The night was far from over. The alien device in Noah's hands suddenly lit up with a soft green glow. The 4 cadets huddled closer as Noah carefully examined it. "I think it's some kind of communication tool," Noah said, turning it over in his hands. "These symbols look similar to the ones we saw in that hologram." Sophia leaned in. "Can you make it work?" "Maybe." Noah had always been good with technology. He pressed what looked like buttons on the side of the device. Nothing happened at first, but then the green glow pulsed brighter, and a small projection appeared above it. The projection showed a map of their forest, viewed from above. Several red dots blinked at different locations. One larger cluster of dots was positioned about 2 miles to the northwest. "That must be their base," Ryan said, pointing to the cluster. "And these other dots, ... could be patrols," Olivia finished. His thought, "or our missing friends." Ryan studied the map carefully. "If this is accurate, they've set up their main base here, near the lake. That's where Lieutenant Simmons and the other team were supposed to be camping. Do you think they've been captured?" Sophia asked. Ryan nodded grimly. "Probably. And our other squad members, too." They sat in silence for a moment, the weight of their situation pressing down on them. They were just cadets, teenagers playing at being soldiers. Now they were facing a real enemy, one that wasn't even from Earth. "Wait," Noah said suddenly, examining the device more closely. "Look at this." He pointed to a small section of the projection where 4 blue dots blinked. I think that's us. They can track us?" Olivia asked, alarmed. "Yes, but..." Noah frowned, tapping at the device. "Something's odd when I move it away from us, ... He demonstrated, holding the device at arm's length. The blue dots on the projection faded. "It only registers us when it's close," Ryan realized. "That's why they haven't found us yet. Their long-range scanners must not detect us for some reason." Sophia's eyes widened. "Maybe they're not looking for humans our age. If they've been monitoring Earth, they might know about adult soldiers, but not expect teenagers to be fighting. We might have an advantage, Ryan said, a plan beginning to form in his mind. If they can't detect us easily, we could get close to their base without being noticed. And do what? Olivia asked. We don't have real weapons. Ryan looked at the alien device. No, but we have information, and we have our training. Let's see what else we can learn from this thing. For the next hour, Noah worked with the device, pressing different combinations of symbols. Eventually, he managed to access what seemed like a database. I can't read most of this, he admitted. But these images are clear enough. The projection now showed various alien figures. Some wore armor like the one they had encountered. Others wore different outfits that might indicate different ranks or jobs. Look at this one. Sophia pointed to a tall figure with elaborate markings on its armor. It looks important. Probably a commander, Ryan agreed. And these smaller ones might be tech specialists or something similar. As Noah cycled through more images, they saw pictures of human military bases from around the world. Each one had status markings beside it that they couldn't read, but the meaning seemed clear. The aliens were targeting Earth's defenses. This is bigger than just us, Ryan said quietly. They're launching a full invasion. But why haven't we heard explosions? Seen fighter jets? Olivia asked. If they're attacking military bases, there should be a response. Noah cycled through more information and found what looked like a timeline. I think they're using some kind of technology to jam communications globally. They're isolating each base before attacking. And no one can call for help, Sophia said. Ryan stood up, determination in his eyes. Then we have to be the ones to call for help. We need to find a way to break through their jamming. First, we need to find our friends, Olivia reminded him. And Lieutenant Simmons. Ryan nodded. You're right. We'll head toward their base, but carefully. If Noah's right, and they can't track us well, we might be able to get close enough to see what we're dealing with. They gathered what supplies remained at their camp, some food, water, their dummy weapons, and a first aid kit. It wasn't much, but it was all they had as they prepared to leave. Noah had an idea. He took apart some of their flashlights and radios, combining them with parts from the alien device. What are you making? Sophia asked. Something that might help us, Noah replied, focused on his work. If I can tune this to match the frequencies, we might be able to listen in on their communications. 20 minutes later, they were ready. Noah had created a makeshift scanner that emitted a soft hum when pointed toward alien technology. Ryan had mapped out a route to the alien base, using the projection as a guide. They moved through the forest. As they had been trained quietly, staying low, using the trees and underbrush for cover. The night was still dark, but dawn would come in a few hours. They needed to use the darkness while they could. After an hour of careful movement, Noah's scanner began to hum more loudly. They crouched behind a ridge and peered over Dot in the valley. Below they saw the alien base. It was larger than they had expected, a collection of metallic structures that glowed with the same blue-green light they had seen earlier. Aliens moved between the buildings, some in armor, others in different outfits. There, Olivia whispered, pointing to one area where several humans were being held in some kind of energy field. That must be where they're keeping the prisoners. Ryan counted at least 15 people, Lieutenant Simmons, the other team of cadets, and their own missing squad members. They were alive, but looked scared and confused. We need a better view, Ryan said. Let's circle around to that ridge over there. It's closer, but still has good cover. As they carefully made their way to the new position, they heard a sound behind them. They turned to see an alien scout standing just 10 feet away, its weapon raised. Before any of them could react, the alien lowered its weapon slightly, looking confused. It raised a device similar to Noah's and scanned them. Bennett made a series of clicking sounds that might have been speech. Sophia, thinking quickly, pointed to Noah's device and then to the alien, trying to indicate that they wanted to communicate. Alien hesitated, then approached cautiously. Noah held out the device, and the alien took it. After examining it for a moment, the alien pressed a sequence of buttons, and suddenly a voice emerged from the device, stilted and mechanical, but understandable. "You are not registered combat units. Identify purpose." The cadets looked at each other in shock. The alien had a translator. Ryan stepped forward. "We are students. We were training in these woods." The alien's large black eyes blinked slowly. "Students, not soldiers?" "We're cadet trainees," Ryan explained. "Not full soldiers yet." The alien seemed to consider this. "Young of species." "Not. In combat database." It gestured toward the base. "Commander will decide fate." Ryan realized with a jolt what this meant. The aliens didn't recognize them as threats because they were teenagers. Their invasion plans hadn't accounted for Earth's military training programs for young people, and in that moment, Ryan saw their opportunity, the accidental advantage that might just give them a chance to fight back. Ryan's mind raced as he stared at the alien scout. A plan was forming in his head, risky, but possibly their only chance. "Take us to your commander," Ryan said, standing tall despite his fear. "We want to talk." The alien tilted its head, considering. Then it gestured with its weapon for them to walk ahead. As they moved toward the alien base, Ryan whispered to the others, "Follow my lead. Don't show fear." Noah clutched his makeshift scanner, now modified with parts from their radios. "What's the plan?" he whispered back. "We're going to use their blind spot against them," Ryan replied quietly. "They don't see us as threats. That's our advantage." The alien base looked even more impressive up close. Structures of metal and some glass-like. Material rose 30 feet high. Strange vehicles hovered slightly above the ground. Aliens of various sizes moved around with purpose, carrying equipment and weapons. The scout led them to a central building and inside to a large room. In the center stood a tall alien with elaborate markings on its armor, the commander they had seen in the projected images. The commander looked at the four teenagers with large black eyes that betrayed no emotion. It spoke to the scout in clicking sounds, then turned to a device on its wrist. When it spoke again, a mechanical voice translated, "You are not in our combat database. Explain your presence in military training zone." Ryan stepped forward. "We are students learning to be soldiers. We were training in the forest when your forces arrived." The commander made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Students are not a threat. You will join the other captives. The other captives are our friends," Sophia spoke up. "We want to see them." The commander seemed surprised by her boldness. It studied them for a moment, then gestured to guards. "Take them to containment area." As they were led through the base, Ryan whispered to Noah, "Did you get enough readings?" Noah nodded slightly. "Their systems don't register us as combatants. Their sensors literally look past us." "Perfect," Ryan murmured. They were brought to the containment area they had seen from the ridge. An energy field formed a transparent barrier. Around a group of humans, Lieutenant Simmons and the other cadets. When Simmons saw them, his eyes widened, but Ryan gave him a small shake of his head, signaling him not to react. The aliens deactivated a small section of the energy field and pushed the four cadets inside before reactivating it. Once inside, Lieutenant Simmons approached them. He had a cut on his forehead, but otherwise looked unharmed. "Kelly, what are you doing here?" he asked quietly. "You were supposed to stay hidden." "We came to rescue you, sir," Ryan replied. "And we have a plan." The lieutenant looked skeptical. "These aliens have technology far beyond anything I've seen. How do four cadets plan to overcome that?" Ryan smiled. Because they don't see us as threats. Their systems are programmed to detect adult soldiers. They filter out younger humans as non-combatants. Understanding dawned on the lieutenant's face. They didn't prepare for cadets. Exactly, Ryan said. Noah discovered their sensors can't track us properly. That's why they had to capture us. Physically, their automated systems don't register us. Noah pulled out his scanner, which he had managed to keep hidden. I've been collecting data on their technology. Their main communications array is in the center of the base. If we can access it, we might be able to send a message to Earth's military forces. Lieutenant Simmons looked impressed despite himself. But how do we get out of this containment field? Olivia had been examining the energy barrier. The field flickers slightly every 15 seconds. There's a pattern to it. I think it's sensed with their power system. If we time it right, Sophia added, we might be able to throw something through during the flicker. Disrupt the field generator. The lieutenant nodded slowly. It might work. But what about the aliens themselves? There are at least 200 soldiers out there. We don't need to fight them all, Ryan said. We just need to create enough confusion to access their communications array. They gathered the other cadets around, and Ryan explained his plan. They would use their training exercise equipment, now modified with knowledge gained from Noah's observations, to create distractions around the perimeter of the base. The aliens think we're just kids, Ryan told them. Let's show them what Earth's youngest soldiers can do. Noah worked quickly, using parts from their watches, radios, and the scanner to create small devices that could interfere with alien technology. These should create false readings on their sensors, he explained. Make them think there are threats where there aren't any. Sophia organized the cadets into teams, each with specific objectives once they escaped: communications disruption, prisoner liberation, and command center infiltration. Remember your training, Lieutenant Simmons told them. Move quietly, stay in formation, and follow your team leaders. They waited until nightfall, when alien activity in the base seemed to decrease. Olivia tracked the fluctuations in the energy barrier, counting the seconds between flickers. Ready, she whispered. 3, 2, 1. On her signal, Noah threw one of his devices at the exact moment the barrier flickered. There was a small burst of electricity, and a section of the barrier failed. Now, Ryan ordered. The cadets moved swiftly through the opening, breaking into their assigned teams. Noah led a group toward the communications array, while Sophia took another team to create distractions on the far side of the base. Ryan, Olivia, and Lieutenant Simmons headed for the command center with the remaining cadets. Alarms began to sound as the aliens realized their prisoners had escaped. But Noah's devices were working. Alien soldiers rushed toward false readings on their sensors. Away from the actual cadets, Ryan's team moved through the base, using the cover of darkness and the confusion to their advantage. When they encountered alien guards, they used their training exercise equipment, now modified with alien tech, to confuse the alien systems. Meanwhile, Noah reached the communications array, a towering structure of metal and light. He connected his scanner to an access panel and began working to understand the system. I need more time, he called to the cadets guarding him. You've got it, one replied, as they used their modified equipment to scramble nearby alien sensors. Sophia's team had set fire to several supply containers, creating a massive distraction on the far side of the base. Aliens rushed to contain the blaze, drawing forces away from the critical areas. In the command center, Ryan, Olivia, and Lieutenant Simmons found themselves face to face with the alien commander. It stared at them in what seemed like disbelief. Impossible, the mechanical voice translated. You are not combat units. You're right, Ryan replied. We're not full soldiers yet. But on Earth, we start training young. The commander reached for a weapon, but Olivia was faster. She used a device Noah had. given her to disrupt the commander's armor systems. The alien froze, its movements suddenly restricted at the communications array. Noah had broken through the alien security. "I'm in," he shouted. "Sending a message now?" He broadcast a signal on all emergency frequencies, including coordinates, of the alien base and a brief explanation of the situation. Then he accessed the aliens' own communication systems and broadcast footage of the cadets' successful infiltration to all alien units. The alien soldiers, seeing teenagers overcoming their supposedly superior technology, hesitated in confusion. Their training hadn't prepared them for this scenario. In the command center, Ryan faced the immobilized commander. "Your invasion failed because you underestimated us. You thought age meant weakness. On Earth, our young people are stronger than you can imagine." For the first time, the alien commander looked uncertain. The invasion that had seemed so carefully planned was unraveling because of a factor they had never considered: Earth's teenage soldiers. The alien commander stared at Ryan with its large black eyes. For several long moments, there was silence in the command center. Then the commander spoke, its words translated by the mechanical voice. "You are children, yet you have defeated our security. How is this possible?" Ryan stood tall, facing the alien without fear. "We may be young, but we've been trained to think, adapt, and overcome. You saw us as weak because of our age, but that was your mistake." Around them, screens showed the chaos throughout the base. Sophia's team had disabled several alien vehicles. Noah had locked down the communications array, giving him control of the base's systems. Other cadets had freed the remaining human prisoners. Lieutenant Simmons stepped forward. "Your invasion failed because you didn't understand humans. We train our young to be strong." The alien commander made a sound that might have been a sigh. "Our intelligence was flawed. We monitored your world for many cycles. We observed your military. We prepared for your weapons and tactics. But you never considered us," Olivia said. "The next generation." Outside the command center, they heard the sound of aircraft. Through the windows, they saw Earth military helicopters approaching. Noah's message had gotten through. The alien commander looked at the approaching aircraft, then back at the teenagers who had dismantled its invasion force. "A decision must be made," it said. The commander pressed a button on its armor. The restraints that Olivia had placed on it fell away, but it made no move to attack. Instead, it activated a holographic display showing other alien ships in orbit around Earth. "We are the Viridian Collective," the commander explained. "We seek resources and territory. Your world was deemed suitable for conquest based on our intelligence." "Flawed intelligence," Ryan pointed out. "Yes," the commander agreed. "Our protocols do not register combatants below certain age parameters. You were invisible to our systems." The holographic display showed alien forces around the world facing similar situations. Where military academies and cadet training facilities existed, young humans had posed unexpected resistance. "We cannot adapt our systems quickly enough," the commander admitted. "Our battle doctrine does not account for this scenario." Noah burst into the command center, out of breath. "They're retreating. The alien ships are withdrawing from bases all over the world," the commander nodded. "I have ordered a full withdrawal. The cost of adapting our strategy would exceed the value of conquest." Ryan could hardly believe what he was hearing. "You're surrendering? Just like that?" "It is not surrender. It is tactical reassessment," the commander replied, though it sounded very much like surrender. "The Viridian Collective does not waste resources on flawed campaigns." Lieutenant Simmons looked skeptical. "How do we know you won't return with a new strategy?" The commander touched controls on its armor. The holographic display changed to show the vast emptiness of space with countless stars. The galaxy holds many worlds, ones without unexpected defenders. The alien seemed almost respectful now. Your world will be marked as unsuitable for Viridian expansion. Outside, the helicopters had landed. Armed soldiers poured out, moving toward the alien base. Inside, the aliens were powering down their systems, preparing to leave. What happens now? Sophia asked. Now, the commander said, we return to our ships and depart your system. Our treaty protocols require an official surrender to the force that defeated us. Ryan looked at Lieutenant Simmons, who nodded encouragingly. I accept your surrender on behalf of Earth's cadet forces, Ryan said, feeling strange saying such. Important words. The commander extended a 3-fingered hand. After a moment's hesitation, Ryan shook it. The gesture seemed oddly human coming from the alien. Your training serves you well, young soldier, the commander said. Perhaps in time, our peoples will meet again under different circumstances. Hours later, as dawn broke over the forest, military officials had secured the alien base. Scientists and specialists examined the alien technology, while government representatives debated how to announce what had happened to the world. Ryan, Sophia, Noah, and Olivia sat together on a fallen log, watching the activity around them. They were tired but proud. Did we really just save the world? Olivia asked, still not quite believing it. Not just us, Ryan said. Cadets all over the world did the same thing we did. We all played a part. A general approached them, accompanied by Lieutenant Simmons. The general looked at the 4 teenagers with a mixture of pride and amazement. The president would like to speak with you, he said. All of you. The cadets who turned a training exercise into humanity's first victory against an alien invasion. We were just doing what we were trained to do, sir, Ryan replied. The general smiled. That training paid off in ways no one could have imagined. Later, as they boarded a helicopter to Washington, Noah looked thoughtfully at a piece of alien technology he had been allowed to keep the scanner he had modified. I've been thinking, he said, the aliens will tell others about us. What if? More come? Then we'll be ready, Sophia said confidently. Lieutenant Simmons nodded. The cadet program will certainly change after this. Training the next generation just became Earth's most important defense strategy. As the helicopter lifted off, Ryan looked down at the forest where their simple drill had turned into something so much more. He thought about the other cadets around the world who had faced the same challenge and risen to it. The aliens had made a critical mistake. They had studied Earth's military, but overlooked its most important resource, young people with courage, intelligence, and the will to fight for their planet. 1 week later, Ryan stood with his friends and fellow cadets in the White House Rose Garden. The president pinned medals on their uniforms as cameras flashed and the world watched. These young people, the president said to the assembled press, represent the best of humanity. When faced with an unprecedented threat, they didn't panic. They used their training, their intelligence, and their courage to protect us all. After the ceremony, as they walked through the halls of the White House, Olivia asked, "What happens now? Do we just go back to being regular cadets?" Ryan shook his head. "I don't think anything will be regular again. The world knows what's out there now. And the world knows what we can do," Sophia added. They stopped at a window overlooking the Washington Monument. The setting sun cast a golden light over the city. "Lieutenant Simmons says they're creating a new program," Noah told them, "using what we learned from the alien technology to prepare for the future. They want us to help train the next group of cadets." Ryan smiled. "From students to teachers. I like that." As they looked out at the city below, they knew their lives had changed forever. A simple drill had turned into humanity's first contact with alien life, and Earth's youngest soldiers had proven that age was no measure of courage or capability. The stars would hold new challenges in the years ahead, but Earth would face them with a new understanding that its greatest strength lay not just in weapons or technology, but in the hearts and minds of its youngest defenders.